Hello. In this video we're going to learn how to let a user log into the website. Before we can do this, we must have created the user on the database, or really let them create themselves. So here I have one user in the database. They've got an ID of 5, they've got my email address, and they have got a hashed password, which is a form of encryption. So what we're going to do is use this page here to collect some information from them when they want to log in. So let's have a look at what this code looks like. Well, first of all, here is the HTML that we're using. So we're using a form with a method of post, so that this will come through as a post, so that the details can't be interfered with. We're collecting something with the name of email and something of the name of password. So that's all pretty simple. Now we go up to the top of the page and we're saying that if the page is loaded by a post, which is what will happen when they press that button, then we're going to collect this variable here called email, which is going to come from post email, and we're going to collect the password that they provided. So that's all well and good. So back over there in the database, we've got the information we believe is true, and they've given us this information that they are offering as true. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a query here, and I'm going to go and get the information off the database so that I can compare the two. Well, let's go across and let's see if we can set that up. So my SQL here, yep, well, I am in fact selecting some information from users where, yep, that's all good. So I'm just going to grab that. That's what I want to do. Now, where do I want to get it? Well, I want to get it when their email, so where the record on file of email equals whatever it is that they provided to us as their email. There you go. So I'm getting that from when they match, and there should only be one of those, so I'm going to limit that to 1. So for now, I'm just going to do something very simple, and I'm just going to, if I find it, found it, not found me, found it. So if the email is on file, it's just going to say found it. All right, well, let's check if it works. So we go up to my page, we log in with my email address, any old password, we run it, and it says found it. Great, well, so we know it's found that record. Okay, well, instead of declaring that, what we're going to do is we're going to get some information, and we're going to get the stored ID. Actually, you know what, I think we'll just call it ID. So the ID is actually going to come from the row. So the row, and that row is going to hold the information ID. There we go. Now, just to check our work here, I'm going to then put that on the screen as an echo. So we're not going to get that message anymore, but we should get the number back, which we know is 5. So let's try that again. There we go. So it went into the database, it found the person with that email address, and it brought me back their ID. Well, that's just terrific. So what we're going to do now is we are going to check and we're going to get their password. So, or the password that has been stored, the hashed password. So let's say that stored hashed password equals row password. So that will go and get the value off the database. Now, again, just because I want to make sure that this is really working, there we go, that autocomplete doesn't seem to be working there. So let's check, is this really working? If I run this, will it bring me back the stored hashed password? Well, let's find out. So Mark O'Mara, and there we go. And I'm just going to jump into the database and just check that that really is the thing that's stored. I bet it is. It seems, yep, that looks about the same to me. So I believe it's bringing that back. Okay. Well, now we have the password that they provided us here, and we have the one that's kept on file. Well, now we're going to compare them to each other using this function that goes along with that where you hash a value. This actually tells you how the hash, whether it worked or not. So I'm just going to scroll down on this page. There it is. It's password verify, and you basically put in what it started as and what the hash was, and it'll tell you whether that's true or not. So let's have a quick look at it. So if what? If password verify starting with password. Yep, well, we've got password. We collected that. That's what the user says. This is what we started with. And what did it end up as? Well, we take out what they've provided, and this is where it's the stored hashed password. So basically, did this thing produce this thing using that process? Okay, so if that did work, then we're going to say correct. And I, of course, should have put the word echo in front of that, because otherwise that's going to produce an error. There you go. So if they do match, then that's correct. All right, well, here's the moment of truth. So we go to the login page. I'm just going to refresh it here. Yep. So there's my email address. I'm typing in the password that I used, and I'm hitting create new user, although really that should say login. And it said correct, so that matched. So I have validated that user. That is the person is who they say they are, because that email matched with that address, and all the while we only stored the hash version. Now, the next thing that we're probably going to do after this, so if this is the same, is we're going to put in some more code so that we can keep that person logged in, but I'm going to do that in a separate video. But right now we have correctly identified that that's the right person. What I'm going to do just before we finish up is I'm going to echo a message, which is this is not the user, so that it's actually possible to fail this test, and we'll see the result. So let me just prove that to you. So I go there again, and this time I'm going to type in the wrong password. There you go, this is not the user. And then when I type in the right password, it should say, there we go, correct. So we know that this works in terms of authenticating that user, and you should look for the other video about how we keep someone logged in once authenticated.